Oh, hello, greetings from Indiana. And in my presentation today, I will be talking about how the needs and the contribution to unpaid care work varies across household and individual life cycle stages in Mexico. By now, thanks to the Counting Women's Work project, we all know that women do more unpaid care work than men and that this happens throughout the whole life cycle. This, along with the monetary imputation of the unpaid care work that women do, has been a very important contribution of the Unpaid Care Work project. It is also fairly well recognized by now that to decrease the gender gap in unpaid care work and in labor market participation, it is necessary not only to recognize, but also to reduce and redistribute unpaid care work, what is commonly known as the 3 Rs. In order to do this, it is necessary, among other things, to acknowledge that unpaid care work is done by individuals in different life cycle stages, not only by the household head and its partner, which is what a lot of research does. It is also necessary to recognize that the amount and type of unpaid care work needed within the household depends on the life cycle stage of the household itself and on the individuals who are available to contribute. And thirdly, it is necessary to understand how unpaid care work is distributed within the household, again, beyond the household head and the spouse, so we know where we are departing from and what we may need to change. In this presentation, I contribute to this agenda by showing how individuals contribute to unpaid care work and how this varies across the individual and household life cycle in Mexico. And my data refers to Mexico 2014, which is the latest live data that we have. In order for you to understand how I do my analysis and how I define household life cycle stages and individual life cycle stages, I want to tell you that I divide household life cycle households in 5 different hierarchical types. And the first one being young households with no children. And by young, I mean those where the household head is younger than 60 years old. Second, we have households where there are children of the head who are aged 0 to 14 years old. Thirdly, we have households where there are children 15 to 19 years old, but no children younger than that. The fourth type is those households where all children of the head are grown up or older than 20 years old. And finally, we have households where the head is 60 years old or older. Now, in terms of individuals, I classify them according to a combination of age, sex, and the relationship to the household head. So first we have the head or its spouse divided by sex. And then we have children 15 to 29 years old, children 30 years or older, and other household members, all disaggregated by sex. The indicators that I will be analyzing are the share of a certain type of work done by individuals with certain characteristics in a certain type of household. So for example, the share of housework done by female children aged 15 to 29 years old in households where there are children 0 to 14 years old is, or the way I estimate it is, I first take for each individual household that is in that category, that has children 0 to 14 years old, I estimate the contribution or how many hours each individual does to housework. Then I add up all the work done by female children, 15 to 29 years old, um, and divided that by all the housework done by everyone in the household. In other words, I check the individual shares or the share of housework done by all female children, 15 to 29 years old, in individual households. And then I divide that across all households, or I average it across all households uh, that are that have children 0 to 14 years old. What is it that we get? Well, this figure shows the share of housework done by individuals with of different types um, across different types of households. It should not come as a surprise that in most households, the female household head or the female spouse of the household head do most of the housework. They do between 49 or 50% and 60% of all housework. That varies a little by type of households. And the other thing I want you to notice is that that housework is a very gendered work, and that other members contribute, but this is mostly female members. So, for example, in households that have children 15 to 29 years old, the female children 59 to 29 years old do 20% of all housework. And then in households where the head is 60 years older or older, female children do 15% of housework. What about childcare? Well, let's focus first on households where there are children 0 to 14 years old. In this case, women do the female head or female spouse do 65% of household of childcare, while male heads do 20%. But also, I want you to notice that female young children who are aged 50 to 29%, 29 years old, do 7% of childcare in these kind of households. These are not, however, all the only type of households that have children. And this figure shows that. It shows how childcare is organized across different kinds of households. And what I want you to notice is that in all cases, childcare is shared across different members. I mean, we see that there is no house called child where childcare is done only by one member, but that distribution varies across different kinds of households, but also that it is always female members who do most of the childcare, and that there's always different types of female members contributing to childcare. So, for example, if we focus not on the red lines, but on yellow lines, which is the households where there are children 15 to 29 years old, we have that most of the childcare is done by the female children aged 50 to 29 years old. And that in that case, the female head or female spouse also contribute about 20% of childcare. So what we conclude from this is that childcare is a communal process and that it is shared across women in the household. In the case of elder care, the organization of elder care shows greater sharing across individuals, as this figure shows, as well as greater participation of men, and also greater variation across household types. For example, in households where all children are grown up, which is the purple line, the male head or male spouse does 53% of care, whereas the female head does 27%. The rest is distributed among male and female children, with male children doing a little more. In households where there are children 15 to 29 years old, the way that elder care is shared is more distributed across different members. This is the line in yellow. And again, that changes across household types. So to sum up, in general, women do more unpaid care work than men. That should not surprise us. However, contrary to what is assumed in the literature, not all unpaid care work is done by the head and its spouse. And also, this varies across household types, and care is shared across household members. Now, disregarding inter-household distribution of unpaid care work across different members may lead to disregarding or ignoring the contribution of children and other household members. It may lead to underestimating the inequality of unpaid care work across genders. And it also may lead to not recognizing the instances when men contribute, which is important to understand how we can list or how we can go about redistributing and when is it that men contribute more to unpaid care work. On a final note, I want to say that this is clearly work in progress. I need to refine the way that I show the contribution of individuals according to their position in the household. The way that I am depicting that might not be the best way. In particular, when there are multi-generational households. So I think it's important. I mean, I think we are showing results that are important and make sense, but I also think that there might be better ways to describing it according to how we classify individuals or categorize individuals. So I'll be working towards that. But I'd love to hear your thoughts about this in the questions and comments section. Thank you.